Over to the landmark decision by the U.S. House of Representatives. On Thursday, the House voted to pass a measure that would essentially stop the funding of the Saudi-led Yemen war. It's a war that's responsible for one of the worst humanitarian crises in recent memory. On Thursday, President Trump said he's vetoing the move. Joining us now to discuss is Director of Communications at the Institute for Public Accuracy, Sam Husseini. Sam, thank you for your time.
Good to be with you.
What exactly does this bill accomplish? Can you break it down for us a little?
It says that the United States has to stop supporting targeting, logistical support, air supply, other support that is critical for Saudi leading. I mean, you can almost look at it as a proxy more in terms of the U.S. backing Saudi Arabia in its bombardment, in its blockading of ports that have tremendous ramifications for the country, that are threatening famine and so on, that all of that support has to end. With one notable exception, and the ACLU criticized this legislation for that, it does make an exception for things that are authorized by the AUMF, which is, from 2001, and which should be revisited. So I think that this bill is important, and I think a lot of people, were with very good cause supported this, but that there is that exception to it that is very troubling.
Well, and it's troubling in itself in the fact that Trump has publicly stated that he's going to veto it. What are lawmakers trying to block U.S. involvement in Yemen if Trump's already saying he's vetoing it?
Well, I mean, this is an important step in terms of Congress asserting its constitutional role in terms of war powers. It should be doing so in a number of other regards. Obviously, other wars that the U.S. is more directly involved in, Afghanistan, Syria, so on and so forth. So one would hope that those would be next on the agenda. Unfortunately, as you say, Trump is going to veto it. This is, coming under the war powers resolution, which was presidents traditionally have not accepted. There's one exception to that. This technically isn't the first time it was invoked. A lot of people are saying it's the first time it was invoked. It was the first time it's been invoked in terms of attempting to actually stop a president from doing something. It was invoked in the early 1980s in terms of Lebanon, getting the U.S. Marines out of Lebanon. Unfortunately, they granted Reagan a lot of time, and that's when the Marine barracks were hit because they didn't assert them, because Congress didn't assert themselves, get the Marines out right away. The Marines were hit. Reagan turns around and starts bombing Lebanon with the USS New Jersey, and it further aggravated and destabilized the Middle East. So there are consequences for Congress not asserting itself. Unfortunately, this is probably going to end up on the Supreme Court. And by this time, the Supreme Court has been stacked with Federalist Society judges.
So how long will that take?
It might take a while, but the stacking on the Supreme Court by the Federalist Society, which are fanatically pro-executive powers, does not bode well. There are other things that Congress can and should be doing. Defunding wars. It ultimately has power of the purse and so on and so forth. So I think they need to step up the game. Right now, they're doing something good, but it could be a day late and a dollar short.
Well, a day late and a dollar short, especially let's look at a day late. Now, the war in Yemen has been going on for 4 years now. This
Correct.
is the worst humanitarian crisis the UN has recognized as the worst in recent memory. Over 80% of Yemen's population is in dire need of humanitarian assistance. Why is Congress acting now? Why have they waited so long?
Because everybody gave Obama a pass, or a lot of people gave Obama a pass when he started this. Is the short answer to your question. And so there's this typical partisan hypocrisy of I'm going to back a policy when my president does it, and I'm going to attack it when a president from the opposing party does it, and vice versa. And it's that mutual hypocrisy from the two-party system in the United States that they, in effect, facilitate and toss back and forth the role of maintaining empire, and then each can blame the other for what they were doing in the first place. So, I mean, that's a core fundamental problem that can and should be addressed in terms of the U.S. political dynamic.
I definitely want to ask you about the civil war from the other side and what lawmakers are saying from both sides of the aisle, the debate that this is a proxy war with Iran. Is that true? And what is this fundamentally about?
Well, I think that, there might be some sympathies between Iran and the Houthi rebels and so on. There's nothing comparable to the direct military intervention and carnage that Saudi Arabia is directly responsible for, and that the U.S. government is in effect responsible for. So I think that doesn't hold up in terms of reality.
Well, this is something that the Democrats are pushing for and being pretty aggressive in, and we'll see if they continue to do that.
Let's hope that they continue to do that regardless of what the partisanship appears to be in the case.
Regardless of Trump threatening and saying that he will veto that bill. So we will follow
I mean, you had Sanders a couple of years ago saying Saudi Arabia's got to get more involved in the region, which was a horrible thing for him to say. It's good that he's turned, and hopefully
he has definitely
more so.
turned now. So maybe Trump will turn. Is that what we're hoping for?
Well, no. I mean, now it looks like Trump campaigned on quasi-isolationist pretensions, which are popular. You have our current theme of presidents posturing as pro-peace when they're campaigning. Obama from a hope and change left-wing perspective, and then Trump from a isolationist America First right-wing perspective, but they both appeal to an impulse of peace. Right. And then when they get into office, that's not what they do.
Everything has changed. Well, thank you so much for your time. Director of Communications at the Institute for Public Accuracy, Sam Husseini. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.